Sup, guys? It's Corrupted.
And it's Dragon.
Back with another episode. So, today
We
we're
back.
on the, what is Zoe arc? Well,
Yeah, finally getting into Zoe.
it feels weird to call it an arc, because it's like,
No, that's what it's called. We're in the whole cake saga now,
but I'm saying
but
like
it's officially the arc.
30, what is it, 31 episode arc in One Piece just
Yeah.
doesn't feel like an
I mean,
arc.
compared to the other
Yeah.
arcs we go through, this is like a step. And this is actually what people thought Egghead was going to be like, believe it or not. They thought Egghead was going to be just like this, just a pit stop. It wasn't going to be nothing serious,
It
but
makes sense.
here we are.
But
Yeah.
I can also see,
It
like,
did make sense. It
because
did
this is
definitely make
like,
sense.
this collection of episodes is like a big, I don't want to say an exposition dump because it's not written like an exposition dump. Like, it doesn't feel like a forced exposition dump. Like, it feels like
All good.
natural and earned. But it,
But yo,
like, we find out more about the world of One Piece here. Like, the,
it
like,
continues.
overarching,
Yeah, it
like,
continues.
how the world interacts. Like,
But
a bunch
look,
of that stuff than a lot of the
before
other
we
parts.
get into it, make sure y'all like, y'all comment, y'all subscribe, y'all let us know. We can get in here trying to get on popular, man. Roll to 100 subs. Y'all know how it go.
Yeah. So, this week's episodes starts with them finding a giant ass elephant. That's
Pretty much. That's what Zoe
that's
is.
it.
Do
That's
you remember, bro, like,
it was a big
seeing
ass
that for the
elephant.
first time? Like, because it was one of these things that you always know One Piece is just a crazy world. But to see something like this exist, and, I remember watching this with Jenna and I asked her, was this anything else in One Piece that could surprise you? And this didn't even surprise her at this point. She literally said, like, you do realize, like, we just left, like, fighting a mythical dragon. Like, well, no, this was before the dragon. This was like, nah, she was, like, talking about how Punk Hazard and then how we just went to water and stuff by this point.
Yeah,
Seeing fish
it's
into a bowl underwater and all that with a giant arc that almost killed him. It's like, no, this don't surprise me that much.
like it's crazy.
But
Also, like the concept of Zunisha, like the giant elephant guy. Um, it's I think it's confirmed that it's based off the Salvador Dali painting. I think Oda. I'm pretty sure Oda came out and said that's where he got the inspiration for it. Um, you know what I'm talking about? The painting I'm talking about?
I know, I don't know the painting, but I know who Salvador Dali is.
Yeah. Yeah, I can show it real quick for everybody. This is what it looks like.
Oh, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that before.
And that's very similar to what Zonisha looks like. Like, it's not perfect. Clearly this is like crazier with like all the, and then there's like a version of it where they're like, it's like one of the elephants is like walking through the void, I think, if I remember correctly. But it just reminds, that's what Zunisha reminds me of. But it's cool that it's like the different like things that you see he gets like Oda gets inspiration from. Like, it's not just one, it's not what you would typically think of when you think of like inspiration, you know what I mean? Like, he
No,
like
I feel you.
cleverly makes stuff out of stuff that you wouldn't think makes sense, or like wouldn't conventionally make sense, I guess is the better way to say it. Like, because you don't really, because Zunisha would have to be hundreds, if not thousands of meters tall.
Oh yeah.
Because of, like, especially now that we know with the, what's it called stuff? The, like, how the world was actually flooded now. And it's not just that they've always been just a bunch of islands on the world. That means Zunisha was tall enough to walk through not just how it was before, but it would have been, yeah, he would have been like hundreds of meters tall, towering over the stuff that was already at sea level before it sank. And now he does the same thing after everything flooded. So it's just cool to see that, like, something as innocuous as a Salvador I think his name is Salvatore is how you say his name, Dali painting could inspire um Zunisha's design. Because even like when you look at the face of Zunisha, how it like looks like aged and sagged. What it makes sense. Zunisha's like at least
But yeah,
nine
that's
hundred
sort of
years
most of
old.
the story too. It's like he took
Yeah,
all the elements and just put it in the story and made it all fit in
yeah.
the story.
Like saw something that he thought was cool, and then just made it Oda-ified. I guess is probably the best phrase. He just Oda-ified the elephant, and then like made it his own. Like took the inspiration and made it his own, and then made it even cooler by putting like a actual fucking city. Because what's it called? Robin says based on the size of the city, there has to at least be thousands of people that live here. Like she actually uses the word thousands and not the word hundreds. But also, what's interesting is you know how the city's name is, or the island's name is Zo. Uh,
Yep,
Apparently Zo is Mandarin for to visit or to walk,
that's cool.
which is funny because it's literally a walking island. That I just thought it was funny that was how it, like there's no way that was on accident. Oda knew what he was doing. That cheeky bastard.
Just putting the pieces together like he usually does. It's nothing surprising at this point. It's just expected. It's how we pretty much foreshadow now what he's gonna do is by looking at the works and which references that he does.
Yeah, and then I also think it's funny when they first meet the minks. The minks are low key kind of racist because they're just like, oh, look at these lesser minks. She's like, what the fuck, dog? Like,
Literally what all them.
what the fuck? Like, just call them hairless, why don't you, bro? Like, you're not you're not allowed to say that like any other way, big dogs. Like minks, like chill out, dog. Don't say it like that. It's like every time I heard him say it, I was just like, man, dude, what the fuck are the minks saying? Just because of how they say it, it's just like, look at those lesser minks over there. I'm just like, oh my god. But that's just like I just thought it was funny. Another thing that I found funny is the super ugly dragon that Conjuro makes to, I think his name is Rinonosuke.
Ryunosuke.
Yeah,
Ryunosuke.
Rinosuke. Because Robin thinks it's like the cutest thing she's ever seen.
Yep.
She's like every time like it says anything is so cute, but also like did I don't remember them telling Conjuro that Monosuke could turn into a dragon. So it's interesting that he draws like a crappy version of Monosuke.
Momonosuke.
Yeah, of Momo's dragon form, and he even has like the same latter half of Momonosuke's name. It's almost like he planned it. Dun dun dun. Like he planned everything that happened because he didn't want it to happen. Well, like when like with hindsight, you know what I mean? Like
Of course.
the fact that it's a pink dragon with the latter half of Momonosuke's name makes me wonder, did did they plan on Momonosuke eating the fruit a long time ago? And the they that I'm talking about in that instance would be, well, for people that aren't caught up, I won't say it, but we'll run into that point later on in about 6 weeks, I think. But it could be like a massive bit of foreshadowing. That is pink dragon. That he makes a pink dragon with Nanosuke as the latter half of its name. You know what I mean? Like it feels like foreshadowing. Like that Kanjuro knew there's a way to get a pink version of a dragon. And then there's the fact that he's like all the stuff that's gonna happen in Wano. It feels like Oda's basically telling us like wink wink nudge nudge. Kanjuro knew that was gonna happen. You know what I mean?
I see it, but I mean, it's already was shown. I see. I don't even want to go. Nah, you already said don't spoil it. I'm not gonna. Nah, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I'm trying not to spoil that part.
We've already talking. The conversation of foreshadowing is already a spoiling conversation. So
Yeah. And then shortly after that, they meet the minks. The minks are pretty cool. They have lightning powers, and I think lightning's dope. So they automatically get a cool design thumbs up from me.
only reason I think they do that is I feel like Oda did something with like friction and like made it like that. I think that's cool because they got fur. It's like the only thing I could draw that they do it. 'Cause it's not really like lightning. It's almost like it starts off as static, and then it gets like more powerful.
I just assumed it was gonna be like they were gonna like explain it to have something to do with like the Sulong stuff, but
I mean,
I
but they
figured
can
that
do
would
lightning
it'd
without
be.
the moon.
I know they can do lightning without the moon, but I'm talking about like the thing that lets them go Sulong, cause it's probably not magic. It's probably like a bloodline trait or whatever. Egghead called that stuff that lets them turn into Sulong. I would just figure that the same like bloodline traits or whatever also let them use lightning. But the friction idea is probably better. It's easier to explain, and it makes more sense. But the guys are pretty cool. Carrot's a cool character, design wise. Like I like she uses a claw that's shaped like a bunny rabbit paw, but it's like Lady Deathstroke style claws inside of it, which is kind of cool. And I also like the minks. A cool design with the minks is that whatever animal they are, they have like the famous characteristics of that particular animal. Like Carrot is a rabbit minx, so she can jump. Like her legs are way more powerful than a normal minx. Or like all the dog minks are obsessed with bones.
I mean,
Stuff
that's
like
understandable.
yeah, it's just I'm just saying like
You like has to be the person that likes the minks more, like out of anybody that I ever heard talk about One Piece. Like I
well, I'm
never
just trying
thought
to
people
find
liked the minks that much.
it's not
Like
that well, so it's not that I like the minks that much. It's just that I've complained about like designs that I thought were bad in One Piece. So when there's a character design that's not bad, I feel like I owe it to point out that it's not bad since I like flame some old stuff to make up for the fact that I flamed some old
feel
stuff.
guilty.
Yeah, I feel the guilt. So whenever they do whenever Oda has a really
Yeah,
good design
you're
with the little
you're
thing,
going through that motion because like you're literally going through that motion that I tell people who haven't watched One Piece say the exact same three things that it's too long, the it's too long, and they can't get through the old style animation and how long it takes for it to like pick up. But once people get through the old style animation and see that the old style animation and a lot of stuff has changed and the designs and stuff actually upgrade and get better, now they actually start to like it.
yeah, like I said, if it like started at Dressrosa and went through, it would still be fantastic just because that's how good the latter half of One Piece is. Like I could say that as someone that hates the first half of One Piece, like I just personally didn't vibe with it, but the latter half, like Dressrosa onward, is fan fucking tastic. But also like my criticism of the first half is Not that it's too long, because I'm fine with it being long. It's just that I didn't like it and it was long. It's
I
not.
actually like come to understand that, seeing how One Piece has come through and like changed over the years, it's really like a marquee just to show the anime industry itself just how much that it changed over the years and stuff. Because even I know you pointed out before how like some of its animation was behind its contemporaries at the time, but I think that just let it knows that, how far just the base of what was acceptable had came along.
Yeah,
Like
that
where it
is a
is
good point.
now, where it is now, like the animation quality and stuff now, you couldn't have an anime come out that had something worse. Like they'd have to be fun. Like what's the anime that came out that's like that?
Uh,
Dandadan, I think. Like its animation is not like the crispest of like, HD Cinemax type stuff, but it's a fun art style.
yeah, or a good
They have
example
fun
is
with it.
Blue Lock season two.
Yes, no, Blue Lock's a good example.
Like it started
That's a
off
good
like
example.
super lit, and then the second season is like the animation design and art direction is really bad. Like I don't even watch the show. I've just seen the pieces that people have been talking about. Cause I was gonna watch it when the second season finished airing, but then like I was just like I'd rather just read it at that point after watching like the like how bad the art direction and the animation quality went downhill real fast. Or like another good example is I'm a big fan of Seven Deadly Sins, but
Oh
season
yeah,
three
Seven Deadly
onwards
Sins. Yeah,
was so like so you have to read it. That's how bad the animate like
that's and that's one thing that you got to give to One Piece. It's almost like the animation's doing the opposite thing. It's like getting
yeah
better as it
yeah that
comes.
is
Like
one thing you
it's
got to
even
give
gotten
them.
to a point now because like a lot, even some people have said it. I don't agree with it, but some people said the Wano graphics were better than the Egghead ones, and I don't personally think that, but I can understand why someone says that because they went from a traditional like crispness that was universally accepted to like now in Egghead the anime art style looks like more cartoony and a little bit more fun, but I think it's still
It
crisp.
reminds me of
I like how the fluidity of it.
the stuff in the Egghead stuff. It reminds me of the Devilman Crybaby art style.
Yeah,
Like I don't know if anyone watching has watched that, but it's like super like watercolory feeling. Is probably the best way to describe it. Like it feels like more fluid than normal, but it's not like the edges aren't the sharpest in that anime. Like the animation style is really weird, but it's cool. Like it's hard to describe it without like showing off a bunch of stuff that would get us copyright struck. But it's
mm.
like how the characters are drawn to move is really weird,
I think it works good for
but watery.
how Gear 5 is predicted because
Yeah,
the
and that
freedom
too.
of it and how that fluidity that they have with the freedom of the lines being not defined and it's bright and colorful and all that. Like I think it all just fits. But um, you talking about designs and stuff like that. You know, one design of this arc that's pretty much a marquee for the Zoe arc that a lot of people know is how Jack and all that came in, destroyed Zoe looking for Rizo, and they did all of that, just denied he was there that whole time, and he pretty much destroys the whole city and pretty much cuts off Dogstorm's leg and takes Cat Viper's left arm.
Well, also the other thing that's crazy is like if it wasn't for Queen's poison, he probably would have fucking lost.
It's about Caesar's poison.
Well, yeah, Caesar's poison. My bad. Um, but like Jack would have lost. Like Jack was losing. That's why he had to use the poison is because they were losing the fight.
And yeah, that's you know what. And, I thought about this too earlier. When we talk about because a lot of times fans do things with the straw hats and like putting their level of importance, ranking amongst the crew. And I know it's some people we don't talk about a lot, but One dude who I always we do talk about, and probably is going to end up talking about more as the story progresses, Chopper. And one thing I thought about, because you think about this, just think about this, because well, you know, Chopper's trying to be the best doctor ever. When you talk about a clash of someone who's trying to heal someone versus if someone like Caesar, his whole thing is trying to kill someone. Caesar's putting his gas, his weapons, his gaseous weapons, because just like this one, I think this one was Coral. I think that's what it was called. It was on the black market. Chopper's basically learning how to deal with this weapon.
Yeah, in real
So
time.
in real time. So he's basically nullifying the underground black market's war thing. Like in the gas market, like he's learning how to heal patients that Caesar's designed weapons to kill, to destroy, you know. And you talk about the importance of Chopper here. He's learning how to, actually, work these diseases. He's learning them, and these things weren't supposed to be cured. Like imagine if Chopper wasn't here. Yeah, Caesar could have took the gas away, but if Chopper isn't here to perform the surgeries, because Caesar wasn't gonna do it, I don't think he has medical expertise. I think he only has like, I know he knows enough about anatomy to make stuff to destroy it, but I don't think he could fully fix it the right
Yeah,
way.
he's like a chemist doctor, not
Yeah,
like a
because
people
he needed
doctor.
Law's help to reattach the body parts and stuff of this underlings in Punk Hazard.
But
So
that
and
could also
Law's a
just
doctor.
be like that it wouldn't be possible for like without
Exactly.
like Law's ability to manipulate reality to do it.
Yeah, which is true as well. That's another thing to think about. And but Chopper, to seeing him in this real time be like a field medic almost, and of course we're gonna see him later on and how he does the exact same thing, probably worse to Queen. And actually,
Whoa. Oh
uh,
yeah, with the
now I think
Oni
about it,
virus or
yeah,
whatever it's called.
yeah. Now I think about it, it's crazy because I think if Chopper doesn't go through this for Caesar, I don't think he really has as much of a chance with Queen because both of them were part of the same the Mads group
Yeah.
that Vegapunk was in. So it's like they have kind of you can infer that they kind of would have similar methods since they both trained under the same guy or together. So,
Yeah, you
but
could.
Queen probably taking it a bit further because you know who he's with, and
Yeah,
that's kind
he's
of what
with
they do.
the big bad.
And yeah, and you see it like real time, just Chopper's importance just in full display in these fights
Another
because
thing with that, what you bring up though, is Chopper's importance. Have you noticed in Zoe that he's dressed like a king and his hat is decorated in such a way that it's turned into a crown?
crazy. You know what? You know what? You know what? I did not notice that.
Like
I noticed that.
here's a good example of it. Like you see, he's got the little thing on top, and then it's the pearls that go around.
Yeah,
Like
I remember because
yeah,
Nami had the same kind of pearls
and he's
on her
got
neck.
he's got a very ornate robe and a bunch of things on it. Like where's the one where he goes to get Nami? Yeah, see, he's dressed very like stately and kingly. So I wonder if that's like a massive foreshadow to be like his devil fruit is like the first example of what a minx is.
Oh yeah. Oh. That would be cool. It
Like, and
would.
that's
Hey,
why he's
hey.
like dressed like a king here, because like Neko Mamushi and Dogstorm, well, Cat Viper, and I'm keep calling him because in the card game he has his Japanese name, so I
Okay.
keep like my brain wants to say Neko Mamushi, but Cat Viper and Dogstorm, they're the dukes of the kingdom, but there's no king of the Minx kingdom. They're dukes. They're basically just lords.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That it's
So
like a
Chopper,
duke
I
would
think.
rule in the place of a king up under a king. Like it'd be like the governor compared to a president, right? Or like the mayor compared to a governor. So it's just interesting. Maybe it's like foreshadowing that Chopper's fruit is like the thing that maybe not created the minks, but the thing that all other minks stem from. And it could be like maybe it's foreshadowing that his fruit is the forest god fruit. Like how we got the Nika fruit being the sun god fruit, and we know that there's the rain god, the sun god, the forest god, and the other one's the earth god, right? Yeah, earth god. From back all the way back in Skypiea. I just thought it was cool to point out that they have Chopper decked out like a king, and like we know the reason that they let him dress up so nice and they gave him such nice things was because he saves both the Duke's lives from the poison and their injuries. But I just think it's really cool that he's dressed as a king in a world like in I say world, but in the place where everyone's a lot like him. Because he remembered the whole time he thought he was like one of one after he ate the fruit, but now he's
Hmm.
around people that are
He's
just
around
like
like
him.
people that actually like him. So that's crazy because when you talk about where he's come from and how he first started off and everything, you know, in the world where he lived, of course, he was an anomaly. He was someone that was looked at as this normal, this different, you know, like a reindeer that could talk. That's not was normal where he is. But in Zoe, however, you talk about someone like him just breaking down his abilities and stuff. He's already one of them as an animal that can talk. But look at here, he's one that can change form.
And to go even further with that is he has a crush on the reindeer minks. Like there's a minx that's a reindeer minx, and Chopper has like a massive crush on her. Like every time they talk, like his eyes turn to hearts, and he's just like, and he gets all lovey dovey, and he like does like the Sanji floaty thing. It's almost like he based his Riz off Sanji, because you know how like Sanji does that little thing where his body like waves in the anime whenever he talks to a pretty girl. Like Chopper does like the same thing whenever the reindeer minx is involved. It's just I just thought it was funny because you can be like, look how impressionable Chopper is, because Chopper like is like the youngest of the crew, so it makes sense that they all like he like slowly takes on different aspects of the other people. But I just thought it was
Another
worth
thing
bringing
that's
up with that.
crazy when you think about, I thought about this too, because I think right after this, when Luffy and them meet Chopper, I mean no, when Luffy and them see Nekomamushi and Dogstorm, um, they explain to them of how they operate with the Day Warriors and the Night Warriors, and I swear to God, everything that was coming to me in their whole setup, really was just letting know that it was pretty much the reason for their own demise. Because if they would have joined their forces, I 100% believe that Jack could not have done anything to them.
Well, remember, even with the split forces, they were still winning before the
Bro,
poison got
whooping the
used.
fuck, like beating the fuck out of them, like for real, like real deal, like going toe to toe with these dudes, and they came out there to fight, and they all powered up.
Yeah,
They all
and
powered up.
the like at the time they try to sell Jack as like one of like the top 10 most powerful people in the verse is how they try to play it off. But
At the
you,
time,
yeah, at the
at the
time, that's what I'm
time,
saying. Like
and I think
at the time,
and I think it's for I'm even like when you, well, not really now much anymore because the times and stuff have changed. But I think at that time, I think they were starting to introduce the known world and the underground where we are now. Because when we just left Dressrosa, you found out Doflamingo was the king of the underground, kinda. And you know, a lot of people knew his alias and knew, but they couldn't really point out it was him. And we have the known world, and I think Kaido showing what was the representation of the known world. So, like at the time, Jack was looked like one of the top 10 of the known world, versus like the actual underground. People know who's actually strong and who's actually not. And I think it even goes further with this idea as we get into even Wano and even in Egghead, where we start to see really the ideals of the known world versus the underground, which that's where we see the Gorosei come in when later, but where we see how Wano ends with Kaido going, Big Mom going down, and then you get to Green Bull and them coming in, so the officials world's coming in to quell the underground. Rather not so much. I mean, in Whole Cake right now, we're about to be is so much going to be a clash of the underground worlds because it's the underground world that's taking Sanji, not really the overworlds. We seeing Germa because Germa's really a part of the underground. Technically, they act like they're underground, but um their status, the way that they're depicted, to say they're depicted for everyone else would put them in the overworld. But at the point in which we got into the story now, for where we hear Germa and where we've learned about them, it kind of just like it makes them feel like they're just underground, even though they're not. I don't know if that's just me,
I can see it.
but nah, man. Like I see it, like because you see Jack when you talking about how he was because he was the first billion berry dude we got um in
Yeah,
this
well,
bounty.
the first one that we know is worth 1 billion berries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like,
So
there's a couple people that are worth more, but we weren't told that they're worth more.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Shanks. We didn't know Shanks before, I don't
Shanks
think.
official bounty, yeah. We didn't know
Yeah.
Shanks official bounty at this point.
Or,
We
like,
didn't know.
what's it, Kaido's or Big
Yep.
Mom's or
Yep.
Blackbeard's official bounty yet.
Yep. Well, I don't even think Blackbeard's had hit 1 billion at this point.
I
Like,
just assume
but he was
if you're an
doing this
emperor,
when he
you
was
got to
doing
be
all the
above a
moves.
billion.
This is when he was doing all his moves.
Yeah,
But
like because he became an emperor
Jack,
by beating the leftovers of Whitebeard.
yeah, yeah. But in Jack's case, I think this was more so the introduction of like Kaido and trying to show off Kaido's power and just how much reach he has. That's why they kind of put him in before. Or really, now I think about it, him and Big Mom kind of showed up like in force, like not in title, like knowing them, meeting them, knowing about them, but in actual force, they kind of showed up, seem like somewhat at the same time. Like, cause Big Mom's, was first, of course, where she shows up in Dressrosa, the ship and all that, and that's what caused the crew to split. But what we see Kaido is like, as soon as we get to Zoe, now we see Kaido's crew here causing mischief, causing havoc. So we're kind of dealing with them too, while simultaneously still dealing with Big Mom. So they show up seemingly at the same time, and when we get introduced to Kaido's crew, that's when he put that billion berry bounty on our head, and it's like, ah, you got somebody like that in your crew? Okay. Now we see one reason why Kaido's that strong, but the way they divert, and why we're after this, how we just deal with Jack and then go to Whole Cake, which we'll get to at some point, but just seeing how they divert that and go, it just kind of it kind of makes you almost forget what happens here when you go forward because just how much that happens in Whole Cake that we're about to have. Um, but Jack, going to what we spoke on before we started on how because Corrupted brought this to me like a while ago, like about maybe 4 months ago, maybe. But how what was it? They the lead performers, how they represent the what was it, the four horsemen of calamity or destruction?
Apocalypse from the
Apocalypse,
Book
that
of
was the word
Revelations.
from the book, yeah. And the like seeing how Jack moves here, just how he comes in, cause the one we probably think he represents either the one that's conquest and or famine, and like whichever version you want to use, they both show up here because in the conquest, how he shows up the first time, does his devastation, gives them a chance and leaves, and then comes back. That lets you know, okay, they had time. That's what I'm saying. That's what conquest is. But then the famine part, how he shows up with the weapon of like actual environmental damage. You know, like actual like showing up with something to hurt the whole of their people in like a non-physical war type way.
There's also
Like one,
the line that I think it's Sheep's Head says, where he says, "You know why they call him the Drought? It's because he leaves every battlefield that he enters looking like it went through drought or famine."
that sheep's head line, yeah, and that's a good uh comparison, a good draw that's from the idea that you can put. And dude, the way Jack, even in like he said, because like the way they use Jack, they use Jack in a lot of ways that probably went over a lot of people's head. Because you mentioned it to me too, and now it's all coming to me. Is how they use Jack like they had told us that he has a billion berries. That's like one of the highest bounties we've seen at that point, and how he comes through Zoe in just the most devastating fashion. He really did Zoe dirty. Let's get it straight. Like if the Straw Hats don't come, he annihilates Zoe. Then just for him to get to the other side when they show us how he was on his ship before all this happened, how he just got done meeting Sengoku and Suru, and he just they mentioned Ishiro, and then he ends up sweating and stuff,
Yeah,
which
he in the
is
anime it
him.
actually shows his chest tighten when he thinks of
So
Isho, which
like,
implies it gave
yeah,
him
that's
PTSD.
a nervous reaction. So when you take those things into account, when you put a big figure like that, while simultaneously showing us figures that we've either heard of or just seen, like in Fujitora's case, since we just seen Fujitora do, now his status, these people's status now rises because he's dealing with the bigger fish of the show that we've only seen mentioned. Now we actually seeing interaction. So it kind of puts his status and puts a little more bit of importance and seriousness on him showing up. And of course, if he can go like against someone like Sengoku, Suru, and apparently if he's been next to Fujitora, he's dealt with. You see, he's probably dealt with Fujitora at some point to know to stay away from him. So he's dealing with some big players. He's not a small fish. These aren't small fish anymore.
It's
Which
funny that you
brings
say
us
he's
back.
not a small fish because he is a fish man.
Yeah, he's a fish man. Bro, it's crazy, bro. That's like the one thing that still to this day blows me. He's an actual fish man.
Yeah, I think he's a
And
giant grouper
yeah,
fishman.
and he's
Is what his
actually,
fish
and
is.
that was the whole reason that he hit the bottom of the sea and didn't drown, because he's a fish man. He can breathe underwater.
Oh, so I didn't realize you could breathe underwater still as a fishman because Vanderdecken made it sound like he couldn't breathe underwater, being a fishman.
Nah, he could, because he was in
Okay.
that lower slums part. That lower slums is all water.
Oh, it must just be the like how it's drawn doesn't make it
It's
look like
how
it's
it's
underwater. That
drawn.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
how it's drawn. But what nah. So yeah, he's no like small fish anymore, which brings us back to literally what we talked about when Dressrosa comes, is how Luffy's come into his lion phase now. So he's dealing with these people who pretty much are other quote unquote kings of the jungle. They work under that. So he's dealing with these other big players too, and now he's in the upper pond of the sea, and it's all coming together. Like this is pretty much like you see it with him. You see how we're in the phase now of the story where the crew separates almost effortlessly, and they kind of know their strengths and stuff now to know what roles they need to play in order to keep all the crew going. And seeing how what they pretty much meet back together here. They know minus Sanji, and now it's like, okay, y'all gonna go here, and then we're gonna go here. That's literally like you only do that when you know your roles enough, and the parallel to see that's how Blackbeard operates, because this is also where Baltigo, where Jesus Burzers, also they show him getting uh, washed ashore on Baltigo with the Revolutionary Army. Trying to get my words out, I'm stuttering like a mug. But that same way how Blackbeard's crew operates is the split, divide, and conquer type way, because that's just how they work. Their roles are solidified, and they're strong enough to carry them out And Blackbeard ain't ashamed to tell his crew to run away. You know, he'll do that. He's done it throughout the story. So definitely, like you see a lot of that starting to come together. A lot of the ideas and stuff that's now because we've left the camel. The camel's no longer here. The element stuff is still there because now it's not even a struggle anymore. Like Luffy's carrying burdens. That's not even a struggle anymore. Like he put himself in harm's way and deal with the consequences of being in harm's way. But it's not like his crew is really struggling anymore when it's talking about to protect themselves. It's really just struggling to just get to the next step, if that makes more sense.
Yeah, it does.
Because sending Sheephead's men here with Jack here is almost like a preventative effort. Because if it was that important, Kaido would have came here himself. But I don't think he knew they were here.
Well, no, remember he was too busy trying to fucking kill himself.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right.
Another thing that's funny about Jack is that he gives so little of a fuck that his swords are shaped like mammoth tusks, like they make like the question mark shape.
Yep.
But he keeps them in sheaths somehow.
Somehow.
Because they go through the effort of showing you that he unsheaths his swords. And you're just like, what the fuck, dude?
I don't even think they're actual sheaths. I think it's like some kind of paper cover.
I just assumed it was like metal that he just ripped off to show how much stronger
if I remember, because I might be wrong, but if I remember in anime, they had it like a paper kind of animation style when he took them off.
I just assumed he was just like, look how strong I am, and like it's metal on it, and he's just ripping it off to just be like assert dominance, and it'd be metal, but it's like one of those things like you can't tell with how it is.
You really can't. You really can't.
And then we're gonna go straight from that point about religious symbolism to when Jack's men literally crucifies a bunch of the musketeers.
Literally. Nah, legit. They legit do.
You know, so this is what this kind of reminds me of, where they're like torturing and all that stuff. Like, I know it probably doesn't have to do much with it, but it kind of reminds me of like the story of Saint Peter on the day before Jesus gets crucified. You know what I'm talking about? Where he's just like, Jesus is just like, you're gonna say that you don't know me 4 times, and Peter's just like, I'd never do such a thing. And then they get to the situation, and then the Roman guards ask him 4 times, does he know Jesus? And Peter's just like, I've never heard that name in my fucking life. And that's basically what these guys do here. And like Peter gets like harassed for it at first, and then later on he cuts one of the guards' ears off after it happens. And that this whole interaction with hiding Raizo just reminds me of that, because if you think about it, they're doing it to save the savior of Wano. So like the metaphor works, and they're being literally crucified. So I just thought it was something interesting to point out from a metaphor perspective. I just thought it was pretty interesting, and just since like we're talking about the themes of One Piece, it's there, like yeah. So I just thought it was worth bringing up, especially when they wholesale ass just literally strap them to the X's, and they use the words crucify. That it's worth bringing up how similar it is to that situation.
It's all really just the key. They went through all of that too, like, because that's one of the moments that pretty much like signifies this arc, is the one where they did all of this just to find out Raizo was there the whole time just to keep him safe.
Yeah, they're just like, nah, bro, we can get fucked up. It's all good. It's like, it don't matter. We don't care about them.
They did a lot. Like, they went through a lot. Like, you imagine Straw Hats don't show up and they all die, all because the dude was literally there the whole time.
What's crazy is, like, when you think about it, for the when you think about it, the the whole thing with that stuff, Robin says the city's big enough to hold thousands. We only see a few hundred, if that. Like you can infer there's a few hundred people left. So that means they probably killed 1,000 or more people.
It's definitely possible.
Like,
But even then, like it's crazy. It's
that's a lot of
crazy
people.
because it's really crazy. We talk about how much damage they truly caused just for Rizzo to be that have been there the entire time.
Yeah, and
And
even
it's not,
Rizzo's just like, what the hell's wrong with y'all? Y'all weren't supposed to do that.
yeah, they weren't.
Also, dude, I can't wait for the wit production of this arc because the anime does not do it justice. The darker aspects of this arc
Oh yeah.
of the latter half. Like, have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh
this
yeah.
stuff.
Nah, all this stuff right here got really censored. Like
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
this is gonna look so dope in the wit stuff. I'm so hyped for it. I'm so hyped for like getting to see it like as Oda imagined it in his mind when he was just like, yeah, they got fucked up, and actually get to see it
Close to
animated.
it as possible.
Yeah,
Not the
I'm really
opposite
looking
way.
for it. Really looking for it, especially when they showed off the stuff
I
that
wouldn't be surprised
the early.
if this ends up the Wit Studio remake comes out and ends up being like really popular. I would really like to see them do this amongst like other anime too, because I know Naruto has some moments like that that were really dark, but end up getting like censored out a little bit more.
Yeah, it comes off more comic-y than it needs to,
Yeah,
just
and
because they.
I know Bleach is the same way. I know there's some pretty
Yeah,
gruesome
with
stuff in
Bleach there
Bleach.
is some too,
So
and
I hope the real studio stuff comes and it pops off, and they end up doing this with other anime.
and Hunter x Hunter does too. Like the original Hunter x Hunter from the '90s, like is more brutal than the newer one. And then there's some stuff in the Chimera Ant arc that gets censored pretty big too. So I'm hoping like it gets more popular to do that across the board with stuff. And then it and then One Piece would have another trend that it started, and that'd be kind of funny. Like they started the trend of making live actions that people actually like. And then the live actions of the actually uncensored, like the actual artist visions of stuff. That'd be good. Uh, I'm hoping that.
Censorship's gone too far. We
Yeah.
all know about that.
Also, another thing is that I love is for some fucking reason Chopper's wearing a helmet when they get to Zoe.
Hmm.
He's wearing a fucking football helmet. I don't remember why he puts on a football helmet, but he wears a football helmet in Zoe, which just cracks me up. I can't remember why though. And the Straw Hats help heal everybody up. They heal the doctors first. That way the doctors can help Chopper heal everybody. But it's not just Chopper that's like doing stuff. Like you see Nami and Sanji are like wrapping people's bandages and cleaning wounds and stuff like that too. So you can see like that stuff. They don't think that stuff's beyond them. Like some people would be like, no, that's the doctor's job. But the Straw Hats are like, I guess the correct word is like humble enough to be like, yeah, you're not doing that by yourself, guy. And then we see after that when after they tell him the backstory, like how they helped Zhao, Chopper got rid of all the pearls and stuff that was all over him. He kept like the fancy robe though, but like the pearls and the thing on the top of his hat that made it look like a crown, he got rid of all that stuff, which is interesting. Like I do think that had to be. I do think that is Oda's way of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He might be the king of the minks. He might be the like his devil fruit might be the thing that's responsible for the minks to begin with, or something along those lines.
That'd be cool.
And then we get the gangbang stuff. I know his name's Beiji, but it's funny to call him Gang Bang instead of Gang Beji. I'm like the only person that thinks it's funny, but I don't care. I still think it's funny. No, the reason why I call him that though is because the first time I read it, because I am hella dyslexic, I thought his name was Gangbang for like 4 entire episodes. Like back in Sabaody, when I originally watched the Sabaody stuff a long time ago, I was just like, oh, that's cool. They named him Gangbang. That's hilarious. And then like it took like a couple episodes later for me to realize they said Beiji. Yeah, and I was just like, no, his name's Gangbang. That's fucking hilarious. Like,
I just like the fact that they like got it as Capone. I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah,
And they kept it. They kept the gangster. He kept the gangster aspect with his name, which I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah, and also his devil fruit's super cool.
Oh, he's probably got one of the coolest devil fruits in the whole show.
Like, especially when you see like
So
I wouldn't call it an awakened form, but like the real form of his fruit that we'll see in a couple of weeks is really dope.
Yeah, the actual man type deal.
Yeah, where like I feel like that's one of those fruits that like get stronger based on how good your imagination with it is. Like one of the few
Yeah.
fruits that works like that. Also, another thing is
Whatever that
whatever what.
no, whatever form the castle kind of takes and what he puts on it. Let's see where the imagination will come from.
Yeah, or like you could be like, I wonder if he could say like, I want a floating fortress to get around the fact of water. I wonder if he can do that. That'd be kind of broken if he could. But also the thing with Sanji, he his simping also extends to mink women. So I'm gonna say it now. Sanji's a furry. Like Sanji's a weirdo. I know I talk a lot of shit about Sanji and he's about to get some redemption in the next arc. Like he's gonna redeem himself some. But his simping gets on my last goddamn nerve. Like he simps a little too hard. And then we get the Pokemon. He's cool. He's got dude, I want to know like more about Pekomon's devil fruit. Yeah, Peckums. I want to learn more about his devil fruit because I can't remember if it's the Kappa devil fruit or if it was the turtle devil fruit, but I feel like
Kappa.
you could do so much stuff. It was the Kappa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it a mythical devil fruit or is a Kappa just like an actual animal in One Piece? That's what I want to know. Because you know, like a Kappa is like a Japanese monster. It's like a turtle, platypus, duck thing, human hybrid thing with like a bull head. What? No, you know what a Kappa looks like. You played Smite. Because Kuzumbo is supposed to be like the god, like the first Kappa or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just cracks me up. I want to learn more about his devil fruit because it has so much potential, especially since he's a lion, and I think he's the only minx that we see that had a devil fruit. So, like, I want to know what happens when he goes Sulong, and like if you do your hybrid form with the Zoan type devil fruit, you know what I mean? Like you go like the halfway form, and you go Sulong. Do you turn into like Monster Point? Like Chopper does, or do you turn into something else? It makes me curious. And can you still use the lightning powers? Like, personally, it just brings up so many questions. Because it would be awesome if you kept all the plus sides of being a minx. But there's also the argument it'd be too strong.
I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't, because I mean, a fish man can still breathe underwater with a devil fruit.
Yeah, like I don't
Just
see
can't
why.
swim.
Also, fishmen are still like way stronger than normal humans with the devil fruit, so they get even stronger when they eat a devil fruit. So it's
I don't see why if they kept that same parallel, if you could keep the same things of your lineage, if you keep your lineage factors the same no matter what, like I wouldn't imagine why, but I see why he didn't really go that far with it. I mean, I would like to see it. I mean, we see the only one. I think him Peckham's being the only one we really see with a devil fruit
yeah, I think
that I
he's
can
the only
talk
one with
about.
the devil fruit. Like even like all caught up. Like I can't think of anyone else that we've seen.
I can't think of it.
But
But nah, you mentioned I know you talked about Rizo when he said that also when he was the one that told them that they shouldn't have did that too. But they went so far as to chain him to the railroad poneglyph
yeah,
in the
just to
same
be
little
like,
crucifixion manner
you're
that
not
they got
moving.
because he was in the same kind of position just sitting. Um, but that wasn't important. But what was is like you see the conviction and stuff that they have for each other. They had to go so far as to like chain him up.
Yeah,
Like,
because they knew Rizzo would have immediately given himself up
yeah, to
because
stop
he doesn't
them
want
from
them to get
being
hurt. Yeah.
yeah, stop them from getting hurt. So they went so far as to chain him up, and then like in a place where they probably wouldn't have thought to look, which was the whale. Like they even if they would have like took down the city, they would have had to burn the tree down to find Rizzo. I
Yeah.
don't know. They might have did it. I ain't gonna say they wouldn't have did
I'm
it.
gonna be real. I wouldn't expect the whale to be hollow because of like Issachar's statue. Why the fuck would it be hollow? Like, but that's just me personally. Like if I was searching for someone, like I'd eventually search it, but it wouldn't be the first idea that pops in my head. Like I'd search around it, but I wouldn't like be like we got to go inside of it. I like how we get like to see a show off of Beiji's devil fruit too, because just like I have an entire army inside of me. I have an entire castle inside of me. And it has like a restaurant and everything on the inside, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? What? And we learn a little bit about the Vinsmoke family. Sanji's the third son, and they want to marry him off to Pudding, the 35th daughter of Charlotte Linlin. And that's obviously what's the entire thing, or conflict, not thing, of the next. Yeah. And I love Luffy's reaction to it. It's just like, no, that's not happening because I won't have an alliance with Big Mom. She'll have to listen to me.
Yeah, pretty much saying that he ain't gonna bow down to nobody. He don't care what kind of status she got, which is of course the Luffy thing now at this point. We're starting to see Luffy's actual personality on display here when it comes down to these, because these are some of the most like difficult problems he's had with his crew. Like, you know, I mean, even Robin's thing was like the last like big conflict in his crew that he had to deal with, trying to get Robin back from CP0, and then now Sanji trying to get him back out of the Emperor Big Mom's clutches.
Yeah, which is even more dangerous than CP9. You know what I mean?
Oh
Because
yeah,
like you're working with somebody that the world government couldn't stop. Because it's not like the what's it called? It's the warlords. Because the warlords are just like, oh, we were ordained by the government, so they were just like, oh, we can just work with you. No, the emperors are like so strong that the world government's just like, you know what, chief, you do you, I do me. Let's just
like
not talk
literally
to each
so
other.
much to a point that we learn later that you have to get like special permission to even fight one of them if you're a Marine.
Yeah, like there's probably only like 4 people that can even like walk into them without dying in the Marines anyway. Not named Garp. Well, except for Buggy, like I'm pretty sure a lot of the vice admirals could beat Buggy, but that's neither here nor there. But Sanji gets kidnapped. Well, you could say that he doesn't get kidnapped, but he basically gets kidnapped because it's just like, we're gonna kill your friends or you're gonna come with us. Because we learned that Big Mom works like a what's it called? Like she works like a wholesale ass I can't think of the name. Like a like an actual mob boss. It's just like, yeah, if he doesn't work with us, either someone at the Baratier is gonna die, somebody that you've helped at a random point in your life is gonna die, and their head's just gonna be in a box for you. Like
Pretty much.
that's what's gonna happen if you don't listen.
Real gangster stuff.
Yeah, yeah, like actual gangster shit. So Sanji leaves them a note and just say, "Yo, give this to Luffy for me, guys. Goodbye." And we learn like that's why Sanji's wanted poster says "only alive" nowadays instead of "dead or alive" because of that. And then Beiji runs into Nekomamushi and he's just like, "Oh shit, deuces, dog. I'm sorry, bye." And he runs away by turning into a fucking tank. So I just want an explanation of the extent of Beiji's devil fruit. Cause it sounds cool.
He has to be his own.
It'd be really cool if it is a Zoan. Cause like it's a Zoan, it's a Gundam Zoan. That'd be fucking hilarious. But the note I thought it was cool to point out is it says to the crew, or to my buds, I gotta go see a woman. But in the Japanese version, it translates more closely to my buds. There's this chick I gotta see real quick. I'll be back, I promise. But I thought it was just cool because we know Oda likes Hollywood stuff, and it reminded me of the note from Good Will Hunting, where at the end of it, where he leaves the note with Robin Williams' character that says, "Sorry, I had to go see about a girl." I just thought it was cool, especially if it's. I'm gonna assume it's a reference. Well, not even assume. I'm gonna make, like how you said, like it's probably better to say an educated deduction. I think is what you said would probably be the best way to say it.
When you have evidence of the same thing across other points of the story, it's not
Yeah,
really an assumption at that point.
yeah,
Pretty much see
but
it could become like almost an almost pattern.
yeah, and but it's just a cool little thing that I thought was worth mentioning because it feels like a throwaway thing. Then after that, we get to go meet Mr. Ninja. I love how they're like all the guys except for Zoro. It's just like freaking out about how awesome it is to meet a ninja. And then
And then like the
this
thing
shit's
about it
hilarious.
is what I always love when I've watched like multiple of like the well really like the bigger names animes that kind of like pay homage to each other, because I always love seeing like just animes and stuff paying homage to each other, and they doing the exact stuff from Naruto, like to actually tell Raizo to do a shadow clone jutsu. You know,
Yeah,
even doing, I think Raizo or one of them did the exact hand sign Naruto did. One of them
yeah,
did
the
in like the background.
the classic Shadow Clone. And then like one
Yeah.
of them's just like, "Can you walk on water?"
Yep.
Like he's just
Yep.
like they ask him to do like the
They
most
just naming
basic
them the basic stuff they
Naruto
learned.
stuff.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, the stuff that they literally learned in the academy.
yeah,
Hey, even the shadow clone jutsu was something they learned in the academy. "Quote unquote" was supposed to be an academy technique. Um, but like you talk about that and them paying homage, so I love seeing that. It's because Naruto's done it too.
yeah.
Um,
Apparently they're big fans of each other's work.
oh, they are.
So
They are.
so it makes sense.
Even Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, they all trained under him, like
Yeah.
getting like
Well,
story pointers, art techniques, stuff like that.
both Oda and Kishimoto credit Dr. Slump, which is the thing that made Akira Toriyama a household name. It's his manga before the Arale stuff, or the stuff that Arale's in, the stuff
Yeah, the
before
stuff
Dragon Ball
Morales
Z.
in.
It's it was like the biggest thing in Japan when like Oda and Kishimoto were growing up, and so that's the story that inspired them to write manga. Was Doctor Slump. So it makes sense that they would go to Oda for a bunch of stuff. Like see it because or that Oda would go to him for a bunch of stuff. I said that backwards. Especially because like you saw like the stuff that he said post R.I.P. Akira Toriyama's passing, where he like and every time he ever has talked about Akira Toriyama, he called him Sensei.
Yep, every time.
He didn't just say his name.
Toriyama Sensei.
And the stuff that gets real interesting though in this arc, or mini arc, whatever you want to call it, though, is the stuff when Momonosuke reveals himself to the Minks because Dogstorm and Nekomamushi are about to go at it, like they're legit about to fight, and Momonosuke's just like, you know what's going on here. I'm back, bitches. And they tell him Raizo's alive and well and bow to him. And we found out that the Kozuki clan and the Meeks clan have been blood brothers or sworn blood brothers for like a millennia.
Also revealed that the Kozuki clan were the one that made the poneglyphs.
Yeah, we're gonna learn that too. I love the Nekomamushi line though, where it's just like, how'd you let this happen to your city instead of give up Rano? And Nekomamushi says, no matter what should befall us, we would never sell a comrade to an enemy. That's a pretty good line. I like that line. It was kind of hard.
Continuing to pay homage to Naruto and stuff again.
Oh yeah, cause what's it called? I believe the Naruto ended like a year or maybe two, because the volume that like seven or not the volume but the Shonen Jump that I think 776 was in is the same one with the final chapter of Naruto, because Oda did like a artwork for it or whatever, because he's a fan of Naruto, because he even talked about it in like an SBS. That's how when I was doing research for this week. So it makes sense that he would say something similar to Kakashi's famous phrase. So it's just a good line. Good lines are good.
Continue to pay homage to Naruto and anyone who bans people who do bad as scum, and anyone who bans their friends are worse than scum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Of course.
That line does go hard. Also, another thing that's super cool is it's like something that you don't notice the first time you watch it, but the center of the Kozuki clan crest, the bird with the circles, the circles on the bird is the same thing on Kuma's Bible.
Yeah.
Same symbol. Yeah. But it just shows that the religion that Kuma was a preacher for before he became a warlord is connected to the Kozuki clan somehow. And we kind of know because of the poneglyphs, but we don't actually know the full extent of it. So I'm looking forward to us learning what the full extent of that is. That connection is. And then we get the Momo being like, stop fighting. Y'all are friends. Like, how can you do that? Do you know what my father would do if he saw y'all acting like this? And they're just like, oh, crap. He's right. Lord Odin would be furious with us. Especially because we learned the entire reason they're fighting is because they believe the other one didn't do enough to save Odin.
Yeah. The whole reason they fighting.
And then The son of that guy shows up. Like the person that's the saddest about it happening shows up and says, I'm not complaining about it, so you stop complaining about it. And the guy that says it is friggin' 8. That's, to me, for me, that's good character writing right there. Like,
Dude, the Momonosuke's whole from the point right now where he gets revealed as he's supposed to be the leader of these guys, all the way up until he actually like grows and still comes, is all like great writing when you talk about just the situation, which that's something we definitely gonna get into because he's also Momonosuke is also a symbol, like a walking example of like the metaphor.
yeah.
Especially when we talking about he's dealing with Luffy himself.
Also,
Will
another thing
against
that's
that.
crazy, it's a offhand remark, but I think it's Dogstorm that says it. It's an offhand remark, but he talks when he's like talking to Neko Mamushi. He says, for us it's been years, but for Momo, it's just been a couple of months. So like all this shit that's happening, Momo, like the reason that he's crying all the time is because he just watched his dad die like 2 months ago, and he hasn't had to process it because he got kidnapped by Caesar, and then he had to go through all this stuff with Straw Hats and all this stuff. Like it's all in the span of like a 2 month period that all this stuff happens to him.
Yep.
Because
Which everyone else has been
timey
20 years.
wimey stuff. Yeah, it's been what 22 years. Okay, I
20
think
years.
it's either 22 or 20 years. But so like, and it's not just that, he's also fucking 8.
Like legit child.
Like he's still like, it's not like a slow growing or anything. It's just he was 8 because he was born on Whitebeard's ship. So he's legit just 8 years old, and sometimes stuff happens, and that's how he's here now.
You literally talk about how fast he's had to grow up, and that's literally it. But I do love how Luffy has treated him too, because it isn't so much as like he never really put any of those things against him. Like him being 8 years old, him being a child, he never really put any of those things next to him, which is one thing I've always loved. And we see that here. Writing in the same little in the same kind of dialogue set where we get them telling us about Raizo is safe, and then him revealing that he's the heir of the Kozuki clan, the next shogun. It's
Yeah,
like,
he's supposed to be.
as soon
And
as he
then,
tells him that, Luffy starts treating him, like
well,
that.
also he doesn't immediately start treating him different because he's like, Momo's like, don't just say what grovel when you talk to me, and Luffy's just like, listen here, you little shit. Like he immediately
What are you
grabs him
talking
by the
about?
face, squeezes it, and just like, you think your big fancy guy thinks you can act like a jerk? Stop being stupid. And then pushes him away. And then Momo tries to jump him, and that does absolutely nothing because Luffy's OP. And then Momo just like immediately like calms himself by motorboating Nami. I still think it's hilarious. I love it when at the end of Wano when he tries to do it again.
And he can't.
Yeah, and she smacks the shit out of him. But I love like they're all like freaking out about meeting the Ninja Man. That is so funny. Ah man. And then also another big thing is Momo feels super sick because he can hear someone like screaming in his head. Like he describes it as the loudest voice he has ever heard. And Luffy's really fucking loud. So I can only imagine how loud that is. And it's just like screamed directly into his head. No like pretense.
Into the psyche.
Yeah, just straight into the head. But yeah, I fucking love. They're just like, throw some shuriken, stand under a waterfall, do some Nimpo arts, show us the earth element techniques. I want to see the fire element. I want to see the water. Do you have any storms?
Literally going through the motions. All the Naruto stuff.
And then Rizo's just like, why y'all keep asking me this question? And Frankie's just like, every man from the moment they are born think that ninjas are awesome. And then Law's just like, can you do a shadow clone? I freaking love that. And then he's just like, okay, sure, I'll do a couple things. And he does shadow clone jutsu. And he does like his own version of substitution jutsu. But I love that Law's just like, oh my god, he did shadow clone. Holy shit. And then I love that Luffy thinks that he's invincible because he's a ninja. Because Luffy's convinced that he's a ninja. Or that ninjas are invincible. It's hilarious. And then they learn about the big red poneglyph. And we learn the true story of One Piece. It's collecting the 4 poneglyphs. Because where they intersect on a map is where Laugh Tale is. Boom, boom, boom. And then we learn a little bit of Momo's backstory. A little bit more of Momo's backstory, I should say it like that. Not a. Also, what's weird is Chopper magically has the crown stuff back at this moment. Like, you know how like he went without the crown stuff on his head for a little bit, and then he magically has it back, which I thought was weird. Also love how Usopp's just like, oh, so all we have to do is sneak into wherever the red ones are, and then make an etching. And Luffy makes like a weird face at him, and it's just like, nope, that's lame. I want to be a man. I want to do it manly. We're gonna fight him. And that just always cracks me up when he's just like, nah, bro, we gonna be man. We gonna be men about it. And then Nami threatens to kill anyone that tries to kidnap Robin to read the poneglyphs. Which is an interesting threat. And then we learn that the Kozuki clan are great stone carvers that created the poneglyphs. And Odin was the last one that knew the deciphering mechanism in the Kozuki clan, and Odin died before he could teach Momonosuke how to do it. And then we learn Odin was on both Whitebeard's crew and Roger's crew at one point. And then I like how everyone but Momonosuke asks Luffy to help him beat Kaido and the false Shogun of Wano. And
that was literally how it all started. Literally, like he went through these whole motions, and this is where you talk about the writing and stuff. Like, didn't he just go through the motions, talking about something? Oh, I'm a Shogun of done. You supposed to bow and respect me, and it's like, okay, you can do all that, but you can't even ask for help. All right.
Yeah, you having your servants ask for you? No, I'm not helping you. You gotta ask. Like, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he's just like, he's like, no, I'm not helping. I'm not helping. Or no. It's not that he doesn't say he's not helping. He says, no, I'm not gonna do it for you. Because that's what they ask. They ask, will you do it for us? And he's just like, no, I'm not doing it for you. And then Momo nuts up and walks over to him and just goes, there's nothing I want more than to defeat Kaido and dispatch of the false Shogun. Will you help me? And then Luffy's just like, oh, hell yeah, dog. That a boy.
You know, the part that's really important is when he goes to kowtow to him. And I ended up pulling this up because I was wanting to make sure I was right, or like I knew exactly what was going on. and I looked it up in like what Japanese culture was, and I'm like I could very much so be wrong and like how I'm about to pronounce this and stuff. But it says like dogeza, which is an element of traditional Japanese etiquette, which involves kneeling directly on the ground and bowing to prostrate oneself while touching one's head to the floor. And supposed to be used to show deference to a person of higher status as a deep apology or to express desire for a favor from said person. And but it's so significant because he goes to do this and Luffy catches his head, which is literally like when we talk about the Ubermensch and having like, oh, if he has followers, it's only because they follow him because he wants to. He's not a follower of the herd. He's not a grave digger, and if he's doing stuff, it's literally just to do it. It's not really for any other self benefit or any other advantage, but just doing it. And him catching his head, telling him this is not your. It's because it's supposed to show deference, so don't defer to me. It's supposed to infer that like it's Momo just pretty much telling Luffy that you're higher than me, which he's also telling that's not true in catching his head, and to ask. It's almost like telling him you don't have to ask me to do this. And we're gonna see one thing I do like about writing and plots and stuff is consistency, and we see that with Luffy's character throughout it. We've seen just him, just previously when we left Dressrosa, just tell all these people whose lives he's just saved, who all pretty much would have just got turned into toys and served under Doflamingo without him, that he doesn't want them to serve him and he doesn't want them to follow him. And you talk about that and you understand that, and it's consistent with just how it is now because the fleet only followed him because they wanted to be a part of his fleet. Said, okay, we have freedom. Okay, we got freedom to be a part of your fleet. Welcome. You got a fleet of 10,000 people, whether you like it or not. And we come right back around, and it's like even the opposite because someone who want to follow him, he tells them no, do it on your own. They do it anyway. Now it's the flip around. Now it's like I'm gonna help you, but it's not for the reasons that you think it is. It's not for because I'm higher status than you. You don't have to ask me. This is not a favor. I'm doing this because I want to. And we're already gonna take down Kaido anyway. Byproduct, bam. And we're gonna see a lot of that going forward too. Yeah, go ahead.
Also, the other thing is, he's just like, no, I'm not helping you. You got to speak up for yourself. Or he doesn't say, I'm not helping you. He says, no, you got to speak up for yourself. I'm not doing it for you. You're supposed to be the leader of these men, but you're just going to stand there and cry? Like, come talk to me and come ask me like the man you're supposed to be. Like, he's like, you're saying that you're this man and you deserve people to grovel at your feet and all this stuff because you're the correct shogun of a land. Well, fucking act like it, dude.
Exactly.
And
that's with the consistency again because he goes forward like through all of these times we're gonna see going forward. Every time he challenges Momo, he challenges his like authority. Like he calls him a figurehead, which is what he did right here. Tried to be just a figurehead, not really put the actual work in. And that's some people like that Luffy actually 100% disrespects. The figureheads, the people who all they want to do is just look good and not actually put the work in. Those are the people Luffy actually hates.
And also, he doesn't say like Luffy doesn't say what you expect him to say with it too. He's not saying like, I'm going to help you because I'm stronger than you. I'm going to help you because we're going to have an alliance, and I only make alliances with my friends. Like, he even says, like, let's make an alliance. I'll take down Kaido. And then right after that, he says, don't ever bow your heads to me again, and don't kneel. Us being allies means that we're best friends, too. Okay, just like, we're all equals here, dog. We're friends. You don't have to kowtow. You don't have to do none of that. We're all in this together. High School Musical music starts playing in the background. And that's how it goes. And then Momo's just like, I'm unworthy. And then Luffy gets onto him. He's like, no, you're supposed to grab it and squeeze it hard when you accept help like this. Whenever you make a deal. And then Kinemon's just like, damn, we kind of been messing this kid up. We've been treating him like a baby when he should be treated like a man if he's gonna run a country. Man, this Luffy guy's kind of smart. I love that when he's just like, damn, Luffy kind of smart. He's just like, nah, I think Luffy just understands people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, he understands things a little bit differently than everyone else does.
yeah, a little bit
'Cause
differently
that was
feels
a
like
good,
an
but that was a great
understatement.
moment though. Like that was a great moment because it's like that's what Momo needs. Because everyone else sitting around him, babying him, treating him like he's a kid. He didn't need that. Like, do you? And then as you realize at this point, I don't even think Luffy really knew the whole story yet.
Yeah, he
Like of
doesn't. He
how
just
where
knows that
Momo
his dad's
came.
died.
Yeah, he just
They
know he
don't know how
died. I
long
don't think
ago
he
it
knows the
was.
whole story yet.
Yeah,
So even when he does find out the story, it's like he doesn't even let him. He tries to be what he needs, not tries to tell him what he needs. He knew he needs someone who Luffy always knew Momo needed someone that he could look up to, and he always tried to be that person that he could look up to. And you see that going forward, like not really trying to be someone who's over him, not really trying to be someone that's babying him because that's what Kinemon was doing. That's what all the retainers were doing as they got to that point. You know, even Shinobu and those, well, once we get there, but Luffy's not doing that. He's giving him that respect, that authority. He's giving him the opportunity to get into that role. And bro, that's much respect. You know, that's where we talk about these plots and these writing because Momonosuke was the emotional thorn, well not thorn, but the emotional anchor for me going forward for this. Everything that happens to Momo, he kind of pushes the story, just how his growth and stuff is what pretty much like echoes throughout this whole cake and then come into Wano.
yeah. And then another thing is when with all this stuff happening, that's crazy. Is that Luffy liberates the what's it called? Liberates Zoe from its like the shackles of its grudges. Cause they even have like a celebration after this. Now that Dogstorm and Cat Viper have made up, like they have a party to celebrate the fact that the minks are now allowed to go to bed and wake up whenever they want to. Right after they meet Rizo, which is cool. Like it just show like everywhere Luffy goes, he shows people how to be free, and it can even be free from not just like the typical stuff like a tyrant, but it can also be
But
metaphorical
even
freedom.
themselves,
Yeah, like the medical freedom of making them hate themselves or like forcing them to hate each other.
like
It,
making them better than themselves, than where they live. He put them in a better state than how they were
how he
before
found
he
them.
was there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I just
because you can say that.
it's nice
You
little.
can say that for Fishman Island, because technically, it really wasn't the downfall of Fishman Island wasn't Horty or Vanderdecken. It was the
Yeah,
ideals
they're
the
just
Fishmen
symptoms of
had
it.
that. Yeah, it was the ideals and customs the Fishmen had developed with their own resentments and racism that caused them to be this way. And Horty and Vanderdecken were just the symptoms of that to their extremes. And Luffy kind of, in defeating them, showed them that, hey, y'all were wrong. But it took to get to an extreme standpoint, of course, and to figure that out. But now we see coming here to Zoe, it's like showing them that, yo, y'all do realize that if y'all were together, y'all would have killed this dude, right?
Yeah, y'all would have won. Nobody would have died. Y'all, y'all having grudges kind of screwed y'all's people over. How the fuck could you do that to them? Sort of thing,
Exactly. Exactly.
which is nice. And then we get some stuff with they're just like we gotta go find Marco because Marco can help us in Wano. And
Yeah.
Marco's devil fruit is dope. So whenever Marco shows up, it's cool. Cause
Yeah, he has a great note fruit.
I wanna know if the awakened version of the Marimara fruit is blue flames or if the Phoenix is the only one with blue flames. That's what I want to know. Tell us,
I
Oda.
wouldn't mind another. I wouldn't mind another blue flame or something coming out.
Well, you know, like blue flames are like two to
The
three
hottest.
times hotter. Well, no, white's the hottest. White's like 2 to 3 times hotter than blue,
Yeah, we
but
ain't seen no white flame.
not in the show. But I'm saying like in real life, it's the hottest.
Shit, I'm talking about the. I'm just going off the scale. Um, like when you talking about like, 'cause I've never seen no white ones, just even in real life.
Oh, so
Besides like
it's
the
the
bright,
the
bright
cone of a
yellow,
fire. The
the
cone of
bright
fire
yellow.
is white. It's the hottest part of the fire. It's just really hard to see.
But the blue, I know blue is hotter than red
Yeah.
for
It
sure,
goes
for
like
sure.
so
And
you
it's
know
like
how a
it's
star is
shades of blue.
basically yeah, the lighter the shade of blue, the hotter it is.
Yeah, the hotter it
And
is. Yeah,
it's like like
that's why
cuz
Dobby and stuff like once they go from like in like previous any fire show that they've had, once they go from red and they go blues, why it's awakening forms because blue's
or
supposed to
like
be hotter.
Azula because she's like
Yeah,
the greatest
exactly.
prodigy
Azula.
in the history of the Fire Nation. Like she's so much better than everyone else like because she was such a prodigy, a firebending that her fire is blue. Yeah. So I'm hoping
Yep.
the Marimara fruit gets awakened because Marco's flames, being that green blue, looks so cool that I want whiter blue flames for Sabo because that would look sick. But I don't think there's enough time in the, not like with the story in real life, but like the amount of time left in the canonical story to have him since he got his fruit so recently. Like he got his
I
fruit like a
agree.
month before Egghead, month or two
It
before
is. No,
Egghead.
I think it is because of the simple fact of first off, Sabo has been canonically told to just do a lot of training, like probably one of the most training like ever because it's
Yeah,
part
that's
of the
true. We do
FPS.
see him like the entire time
And
after that until he goes to the Riverie. He's just
think about
training.
it.
He's just training with his devil fruit.
I'm gonna help you for a second to open your mind to possibilities. We talking about these devil fruits. You remember the Kaido's explanation of what an awakening was.
Yeah,
It's
it's
when the
when your mind
mind and
catches
body
up.
catches up
Yeah.
to catches up. Have you noticed that Sabo is in performance exudes like great rage when he fights, but is actually really compassionate?
Well, like my big thing is like
Just, but have you
with
noticed
it.
that though? Let me finish before you go. But have you noticed that though?
Are you talking about like how
Like
like he
so
gets
when
pissed at
how
Jesus because
yeah,
Jesus
so
tries to
nat
kill
yeah,
Luffy,
when
and
he
he's just like, "Oh
when
hell
he's
no, I'ma just fuck you
versus
up real
when
quick."
yeah, versus in his natural state, he's really compassionate, really soft speaking, stuff like that. I actually firmly believe that something else is gonna happen. Like this is one of the reasons why I think like Dragon is gonna come in the story, show us something really powerful and just die. Or like something like that. Because Sabo's awakening, I think, for him would cause him to be get really, really mad to where he would like almost abandon his compassionate voice and but compassionateness and learn how to control it in his rage that would provoke his awakening. So I
It
think
could
it's
be
gonna
something
cause
like
like
that.
a actual
That
like
wouldn't be super
story
surprising.
element, a story death or something that would f him up.
But also
Like
remember, like he had the temper since he was a kid.
yeah, exactly,
Like you remember
exactly.
when he's
So
a kid,
like
he's
he
just like, I don't care. Luffy can get the shit beat out of him for knowing where they are. I just hope that he doesn't spill. And then it was the fact that Luffy wouldn't snitch that made him like Luffy. Was just like, you know what? Luffy's a good dude. I love Luffy. He's awesome. Sort of thing, you know? Like that's the whole thing. And Luffy got straight up tortured as a kid, right? Because they realized they couldn't beat him. They had to use blades and spikes to hurt him because of his rubber body. Blunt force doesn't work on him. So he straight up got tortured as a kid to figure out where the money was. And then you see
we talk about
You see like he's pissed the fuck off. When him and they show up, they're pissed the fuck off. And they
and his conviction's different too.
yeah,
I'm
and they
not yeah.
almost kill one of the dudes.
Yeah.
Like Ace almost kills the one dude.
So you talk, yeah. So you pretty much pointing out the other the part of great rage that they have. Because even and I think about it, Ace was kind of the same way too. You know, he had that rage about him, but had this cocky like nonchalantness about him
Yeah, and it
that
didn't get
Sabo
fixed
also
until
has.
Whitebeard helped him find it.
Yeah.
So it would
Yep.
make sense if Dragon helped Sabo find it after he gets the Marimara fruit.
Yep. Because
But also
I can see
like
that.
also it could be that Sabo already found it. He just got pissed that Jesus was after like wanted to kill Luffy. Like it could have just pissed him off more than normal. because like Ace got it under control thanks to Whitebeard's help, and then he got the Marimara fruit. So I could see like because Oda likes the parallels, since he has the will of Ace still inside him, that he conquered it like after Ace died when he got all his memories back. But I hope he fights someone that like talks a mad about a shit about watching Ace die. That way we just see him lose his shit, and then we have the moment that you talked about.
Yep. It'd be great. But I see it happening. Like, I think there's enough time. Because the way stuff's going now in the show, like, I see a lot of things, especially in this Elbaf arc, starting to come to fruition. But we'll get there.
Yeah. And then immediately after we learn all this stuff about the Kozuki clan, Jack shows back up and starts trying to kill Zunisha. And we learn Luffy and Momo have. We don't learn the name of it here, but we learn later it's called the voice. They can hear the voice of all things, and Zunisha can talk directly into their brains, like psychically can communicate with them. And we see Momo is able to order Zanusha, or give Zanusha orders, because Zanusha can only follow orders, because Zanusha committed something. That's all Zanusha tells us in this moment, that he committed. He's like, I committed a, and then you don't get to hear the rest of it here. And then Momo's just like, you can do it. Wipe him out.
Walk.
Yeah. He's just like, give me the order to fight, because he's not allowed not to fight. But he's getting fucked up. Like, he's getting like hundreds of cannonballs knocked into his kneecaps. And if you've ever had something hit you in the back of the knee, like, that shit's hard not to fall down. Even if you're a giant fucking ape or elephant, like, that shit's still gonna hurt. But he's able to follow his command to attack him. And Zunisha, it works out exactly how you expect. He one-shots all three ships. But that's what happens when it's like a probably 1,000-meter tall elephant, right?
Yeah, that trunk that trunk alone was probably the size of like a block in that city. Like they weren't out. Yeah,
Nah, dude,
out.
it's probably bigger than the city, because remember it hangs down like into the water.
Yeah, that's true. But still, like you getting hit by that is like, yeah, buddy, you ain't really finna come back from all that.
Yeah.
Spoiler,
Also, there's a another big piece of foreshadowing that's cool. I don't remember seeing it in the anime, but the manga has just a quick panel of a snail, of a psychic snail with horns and everything. But it has interesting teeth. Like, it has very interesting teeth.
That scratch man of Pooh's teeth.
Yeah. But it's just like, that's really good foreshadowing. It's also his manga panel color whenever he talks over the radio. That's the color. That peachy pink color is always the color that they use for him when he talks over the radio.
Oh, so they hadn't revealed at this point that was Scratch Man of Pooh.
Yeah, but it's just if you paid attention to the other times that he showed up, you'd know it was him. So it's just really, 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 really good foreshadowing from
because at this point, because at this point in the story, the last time we saw Pooh, that was when he was with Kid, and then when Kaido fell and they saw him, so they hadn't shown or hadn't hadn't closed. Oda hadn't closed that instance yet. That was still kind of open. So when you come to this point, now it's like you see Scratch Man of Pooh talking, purporting to Kaido. So it's supposed to bridge that gap with that. And that's another thing that I like that Oda does. He uses like in a lot of instances, because he's done it now in the recent thing with Bartolomeo. He'll close other situations like almost like subtly or like move them along subtly that you have to be paying attention to kind of know that it just got moved along because it be the details and stuff like that because right for a minute I know a lot of people that actually don't like know like a lot of the cues and stuff that go on but it's no knock on anyone but it's just some things sometimes you have to tell someone something so blatant to get them to understand. But it's good to see this level of foreshadowing here where we
Like
see
the
Scratch Man or Pooh being the dude last time you seen him he was with Kid and then now he's reporting to Kaido.
and then the like a good example of what you're talking about is in the Sabodi one with the when you see the when Rayleigh breaks out and they're just like, oh my god, this guy, this idiot, the straw hat idiot, just decked the celestial dragon in the face. I don't know how the auction house is gonna work anymore. And then he's just like, well, deal with it. And he goes, but Joker. And then you see a picture of the Doflamingo family, or Don Quixote family, Jolly Roger. But then they don't explain what that means.
Yeah.
And they don't tell you that that's Doflamingo at all. You don't even get the chance to figure it out, really, because they don't tell you. But it just shows, like, to show you that Doflamingo has his fingers in everything. That's, like, one of the fucked up parts of the world. Like, he's in the slave trade, he's in the drug trade, he's in the weapon trade. And it just, like, shows you that all the way back, like, 300 episodes before you learn that. And then we get them picking who's going to Whole Cake because they're just like, we can't all go to Whole Cake. And Nami's just like, I'm going. Because I'm the only one of y'all that can convince.
You're right.
I'm the only one that can. Yeah. I'm the only one that can convince Sanji to come back. And Luffy will immediately get lost. Luffy's going, of course I'm going because I'm the captain. Y'all can't tell me what the fuck to do. Middle fingers to the sky. And then Chopper's just like, I'm going too. And Brooks like, I'm going too. And you just see it's just the people that didn't get to participate in Dressrosa that are going to Whole Cake. And everyone else going to Wano. Yeah. Which, in my opinion, is a nice touch. Because it lets you get them, like, Zoro already had some moments to show off his new stuff. Same with Frankie. Same with Nico. Like, we got to see him in a war zone. By their singular version of the war zone instead of the group version of the war zone.
Plus, so, if you noticed, they brought a lot of more of the original members on this go around. Because Zoro, I think, was in Zoro was only in Usopp were the only original members of the last one. Now they're coming with. Now we got Chopper and Nami on this go around.
Yeah, it's nice that that's how they're doing it.
So with Chopper, Sanji, since Sanji is here too, because Sanji's kind of this is pretty much Sanji's arc at this point. But like the emotion, you talk about the emotional anchor, because of course Nami with Sanji, that whole thing. Like, of course, Sanji pretty much loving the hell out of Nami, or Nami being there to see all of that pretty much right next to Luffy and the whole thing, which we're about to get to. Like, it's already pretty much good writing. And you know it had to have been planned because to him have Nami out and Sanji out in the first part of Dressrosa just to put them in the next arc in Whole Cake. Yeah. Because it wouldn't have hit the same if you had, like, Robin there with him. Like, it wouldn't hit the same because Robin wasn't there from the beginning.
Yeah, it's almost... Well, also, when you, like, bring it like it's the OG people that were with him that's there, it's the OG people that he liked that's there.
Yeah.
Cause, like, him and Zoro don't get along. Even in this arc, Zoro's just like, is it that bad if we let him get married? Like, is it that bad if we just let him go? You know what I mean, guys? Like, just saying. They're just like, he can stay there. He can get married. If she's a pretty woman with big titties, he'll be happy. It's good. Doesn't matter. Cool.
Even then, you talk about the story. You talk about the aspect of what would have happened if Zoro was here at the same time and saw all of that. Like, you would have had to have Zoro kill Sanji. right there.
Oh no,
Like
he
it's all
probably would have just like
probability.
instantly killed Beiji. Like
Yeah,
as soon as
that's
he
true
saw
too.
like him shoot Pekmon's in the back, he would have just been like, Beiji did. Just because Zoro don't play those games, so
Yeah.
he would just be like, and then they split up, and they go on their ways, and we get the team, the what's it called, Kinemon and Zoro go to Wano. Nekomamushi goes to search for Marco.
Okay.
Luffy, Pekmon's, Pedro,
Why you keep
Chopper, and
calling him
Nami.
Pokemon? Well, you got to put the extra syllable on there. It's Peckums.
I'm dyslexic, so every time I read the subtitle of his name, I read it as Pekmon's on accident. That's legit what it is. I read it as Pekmon's on accident. And then M. Brooks coming too. To replace, he's the swordsman to replace Zoro. And then that's where these episodes end, with them heading out. And they're just like, we'll see you guys in Wano. And Luffy just wholesale ass jumps off the ship. Jumps down into the ship, and that's where it ends. And we get ready for next week.
Yep.
But yeah.
That's pretty much.
That's it for this week. I can't.
Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Like we say at the beginning, hit us in the comments. Let us know anything that y'all liked about this track, anything that y'all saw that adds to the metaphor, or anything that you just overall enjoy. You might say you just like the pink suit on Peccoms, or you might be a furry and like minks too. That's okay. Tell us in the comments.
Or you might be a scent like Sanji. That's cool. You can say that in the comments too. Or
I ain't gonna lie, man. Some of them minks, bruh, some of them minks look a little too provocative, bruh. A little too
I
provocative.
don't know, it kind of weirded my ass out. I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, Oda,
Y'all look a little too humanoid.
Oda, don't be giving the furries nothing. We don't like them. They make shit
man.
weird. But yeah, I hope y'all have a good week. We'll be back.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah,
Make sure
Thanksgiving
y'all
is
eat
this
plenty
week.
of food.
Yeah,
Eat plenty of food. I told everybody if you don't gain at least 5 pounds, you can do Thanksgiving right.
yeah. Pull a Luffy,
Everybody
eat all the food.
Yeah. Go to sleep, wake back up, eat in your
Yeah,
sleep.
and then fight the family member that you never get along with. That's what Luffy would want you to do. Don't actually fight anybody and blame us for that happening. Okay, don't do that. That was a joke. Please.
Have food fight. Have food.
Yeah. Have a food fight. How about that? Yeah. But I hope y'all have a good week. We'll see y'all back Sunday with the end of Zoe, the start of Whole Cake. And yeah, remember, like, comment, subscribe, and if there's anything interesting, like a point or anything like that you think we missed, be sure to drop it down below, and we can talk about it next week in the next podcast episode. But we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have a good weekend. It's Corrupted signing off. Y'all have